All right, so this is a kind of an impromptu live, so I don't really expect a whole lot of people to come unless you just happen to see the notification go out. Um, there's a little, hey Tammy. So tonight I wanted to talk about a little 7-year-old boy from Kentucky named Jason Terry. And Jason Terry, the basic backstory is that his mother gave up custody of him and his siblings because she had addictions and she felt like they would be better off in foster care than with her. So the children ended up in foster care. Jason, who is 7 years old, ended up being sent to um, basically a juvenile men- mental hospital. Hold on a second. All right, sorry about that. But yeah, so he got sent to what is basically a juvenile mental hospital, and he died there. There are not a lot of details about it, but two staffers were fired from the hospital due directly to the incident, and his cause of death is officially positional asphyxiation, which basically means that the position that his body was in would not allow him to breathe, and so he died from lack of oxygen. And here is what I was able to come up with about JCon. And there's some weird stuff going on with this, so I definitely have some questions about it. Um, don't know if I will ever get answers to it, but I definitely have some questions. So let's go to this first page. And we're not going to buy anything. All right, let me make this bigger so I can see it better. There's so much going on this screen. Oh goodness. No, we want to block notifications. We don't want notifications from this page. Okay. 7-year-old died at Kentucky Youth Treatment Center due to suffocation. Autopsy finds. Two workers fired. The death of a 7-year-old boy at a Kentucky Children's Residential Center has been ruled a homicide by a medical examiner, and two workers at the center have been fired. The Jefferson County Coroner's Office determined that Jason Terry died July 17th of positional asphyxia, meaning his body position left him unable to breathe. It provided no further details other than that the child was pronounced dead at the hospital. At the time he died, Jason was under the care of workers at, excuse me, I forgot to take that earphone off. Workers at Brooklawn, a children's treatment center in Louisville. The facility provides care for, quote, Kentucky's most vulnerable youth and their families, unquote, offering therapeutic foster care to children recovering from the effects of abuse and neglect, its website says. As of Monday, no charges have been filed in the case. Louisville Metro Police spokesman Aaron Ellis said the case is the subject of an ongoing investigation. Once we have gathered all of the facts related to this death, we will present them to the Commonwealth Attorney's Office to determine how we will proceed, Ellis said in an email. In a statement, seven counties services, which operates the Center for Children with Emotional or Mental Health Needs, said it fired two employees involved in the incident. The agency did not respond to a request by USA Today for the employees' names. Oh, I'm so sorry for yawning so much. I took my medication a little early and I wasn't planning on coming live. The agency did not respond to a request by USA Today for the employees' names, their titles, and how long they worked for the company. Hey, B Tim. I'm doing pretty good today, Tim. I'm feeling real. I'm feeling a whole lot better. I really am. Um, just sleepy. I took my medicine too early, and so there's that. In the statement, the company wrote it completely. It was completely devastated by the unspeakable loss of a child in our care. He should not have died on our watch. The statement continues. As protectors of this yawning is getting annoying. As protectors of Kentucky's most vulnerable children, we are dedicated to making sure it never happens again. Nearly all of the children at the center are in the state's foster care system and placed there by the state cabinet for health and family services. As of last week, 93 foster children were with the agency. In a separate statement, the cabinet said it, quote, mourns the passing of any child or any person of any age in its care, unquote. This sadness was deepened more upon learning the results of the autopsy, identifying asphyxiation as cause of death, said the statement provided by, oh, here we go, provided by spokesperson Susan Dunlap. If I yawn one more time, I swear to God. The cabinet is investigating the death by, but declined to release any of its findings, saying the investigation is ongoing. A quote, full review, unquote, of Brooklawn is continuing, Dunlap said, and the cabinet has suspended placing children at the center for now. Seven counties statement said it has taken a number of steps since the death. It said the agency has increased training for staff who provide direct care for children, including de escalation and relationship building strategies. It also said the staff is being retrained on therapeutic approaches. It also wrote it had increased leadership presence and oversight in the cottages where the children live, and increased screening and assessment of use before they are admitted to Brooklawn. We are still searching for answers to the many questions about what happened on that Sunday afternoon, the statement said, referring to Jasion's death. The leadership of Brooklawn will continue cooperating with the state and local officials investigating this tragedy. So here's the thing, right? For every y'all to have to make a sound effect. Okay, you sound like my son now. He just calls and he's like, make a weird noise. So yeah, I'm I don't understand why it took the death of a child for them to, quote, increase training for staff or to give them de escalation training. All this stuff should have been done beforehand. Had proper training been in effect and proper supervision, then this probably wouldn't have happened and this baby probably wouldn't have died. I mean, common sense says that if you're operating a facility that deals with children with mental health, then you need very well trained persons to deal with those children and the issues that they may have. You can't just hire any old body off the street and be like, okay, go in here and watch these kids who've been beaten, abused, neglected, starved, treated like you couldn't imagine, and who now have all these mental health issues. Just go in there and everything's going to be okay. Just make sure, you know, count heads or something. You don't, common sense says you need training. So I don't understand how waiting until an incident of this severity happens in order to decide you need training and de-escalation and supervision. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. So I take letters like that to just be fluff, because this is what you hear in so many of the cases. After something horrific has happened, then it was, oh, we increased this and we're doing more training and we're restructuring, blah, 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 blah. It's always an after effect, where it should have been from the beginning. So I'm going to stop I'm going to get off my soapbox on that one for a second so we can move on to the next, which is this is a video with his mother and his grandfather speaking about the issue. And I'm not going to be on here long, guys, because I want to catch Local Maya on her next live, too. Okay, so here we go. Once it loads up.
Several government agencies continue to investigate the death of a child who was in foster care. 7-year-old Jefferson Terry died 2 weeks ago, but we still don't know how he died. His birth mother, who lives in Lexington, doesn't know either. It's one of many questions she has for the Cabinet for Health and Family Services.
So this video came out before the autopsy, which is why he said we still don't know how he died.
In an exclusive interview with LEX18's Mike Valente, Dominique Terry and her father say they feel like they've been kept in the dark, claiming they haven't even been allowed to see Jefferson's body. It's the LEX18 Big Story at 11.
Jefferson Terry had not seen his family in at least 2 years. That's why most of the pictures his grandfather showed us were Jefferson as a baby, pictures George Terry has cherished.
He was cheerful, he liked to smile, he liked to play, and he liked to fight. But that was Jefferson. He was a boy.
And most importantly, to Dominique Terry,
Jefferson was my son.
Dominique says she never stopped being Jefferson's mother, despite the fact that he came into the foster care system about 3 years ago, after she ran into legal trouble. Now she says she's running into roadblocks, trying to figure out what happened to her son, who was rushed to the hospital earlier this month from Brookline Child and Family Services. 7 County Services, which operates the children's home, told WDRB they were, quote, devastated by the tragic loss. The Cabinet for Health and Family Services says it's opened several investigations. George Terry, the boy's grandfather, says he spoke with a cabinet employee who apparently told him the death was an accident.
The first lady called me back Wednesday. I asked her what was going on. Said she had no more information that she could tell me. And then she hung up. Then she never called back. I kept calling her, and she never called back.
Dominique and her father want their hands on an autopsy report. They also want to see Jefferson, which is proving to be harder than they anticipated.
You never knew he was there.
Never knew.
Until someone from the cabinet called.
So he's been down here this whole time.
Since Friday.
The Terrys just found out yesterday that Jefferson's body was brought Friday to Smith & Smith Funeral Home in Lexington. We called the funeral home twice and went there once today. An employee said she could not divulge much because the cabinet was handling everything. However, after we started asking questions and Dominique retained a lawyer today, that funeral home employee did say the cabinet granted permission to 4 family members to come to a viewing tomorrow morning. The Terrys say they were told depending how the viewing goes, they may be allowed at the burial site, but the Terrys have not received any details.
How does it make you feel when they say that?
It's hurtful.
It's very hurtful.
Like, what if this table was turned and it was on your family? It's not even going to be a funeral.
Right, it's just going to be
just buried, and that's it.
LEX18 has reached out to a cabinet official who the Terrys say has been handling the case, but we haven't heard back. A spokesperson for the governor, meanwhile, told us she's checked with the cabinet as well. We have many questions about Jefferson's death and his burial, one of which includes, will he get the funeral that his family says he deserves? Dominique already knows what that would look like.
The funeral will be laid out where his favorite color is blue. With the doves and all of that. That's what I wanted.
In Lexington, Mike Valente.
See, now this whole case is really striking me as odd. The more I listen to it, like, why would the family not be allowed at the funeral? So I'm starting to think this is more than just a foster care situation and that the mother actually lost her parental rights. Because if she still had parental rights, there wouldn't be any reason for her to have permission to go to the funeral and maybe be able to go to the burial. I mean, stuff is just not adding up in this case. And then The other thing that is really not sitting right with me about this case, and I lost that article. I had it pulled up, but I'm not going to try to find it again. I'll link it in the community tab when I find it again. But the foster family filed a wrongful death lawsuit in this child's case, which that really doesn't make sense because foster parents don't have legal rights to sue. Now I looked this up real quick. I want you guys to see this. Well, I'll just tell you. Where is it at? Okay, here it is. And this is just one line from an attorney's web page because I googled can foster parents sue for wrongful death of a foster child. And the short answer is unfortunately, step parents, grandparents, and foster parents cannot bring forth a wrongful death action, even if they were the child's sole guardian. So, how is it they're bringing a lawsuit? There's a whole bunch of something ain't right in this whole story. I mean, if your kid is just in foster care, you're still their parent. You're still have the right to make decisions about them or whatever. And if your child dies in foster care, that doesn't somehow automatically make them not your child. If anything, to me, logic would say that the family would be able to make arrangements and all this kind of stuff because that is their child. So I'm thinking parental rights must have been terminated and foster parents are actually maybe adoptive parents or in the process of adopting because they already said that the kids haven't the family hasn't seen the kids in 2 years, and 2 years is more than enough time for them to have given her an opportunity to complete a case plan and treatment or whatever it is that she needed to do and to try to get her kids back, and then to get to the point where they're saying, okay, well, we're going to go for termination of parental rights. 2 years is more than enough time for all that to have happened and for the children to now be in a position where they're actually able to be adopted out. But nothing in this case is adding up. Um, I'm not going to dwell on it too long, but I just found so much in it that didn't add up. I just wanted to put it out there for you guys and see if you guys felt the same. Like, does it make sense to you, or am I the only one who's sitting here scratching my head? Another thing that was said by the mother. Let me scroll on down. Let me find it. J-A apostrophe. She said, they said my child would be safer in foster care than with me, said the mother of Jayceon Terry. But see the outcome of what happened. The outcome is that Jayceon was institutionalized in a residential treatment center in Kentucky. The outcome is he died. The outcome is that a coroner has ruled the death a homicide. Jayceon was 7 years old. I wrote about Jayceon and the death of another young child in Kentucky that Kentucky had institutionalized for the Lexington Herald Leader. And I tried to pull that article up, but it's behind a paywall. So I want to know about this other kid that died in foster care. This is like from an article that someone wrote. I want to find out about that and see if they died at the same facility or the same type facility or under a different facility run by that same whoever runs this particular facility where Jayceon died. Because it strikes me that if the person writing this connected the two, I wrote about another kid in Kentucky that was institutionalized, then maybe there is some connection, some kind of crossover. Just as easily may not be, but that's how I took it. You know, yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. I really want to catch the local Mize next live, so I'm gonna do a few things until then. I'm gonna look up that article and I will put it on the community wall because I have no idea where it went. I had it pulled up and ready to go. But it's worth reading. It's definitely worth reading. So thanks for joining, guys. Yeah, you're right. Exposing CPS makes one a national hero. Yay, I'm a national hero. But yeah, something has to change, man. These all these kids dying in foster care and in protective services custody, like it just doesn't make sense. I mean, all these cases where protective services was involved. Oakley Carlson, Harmony Montgomery. Here we have Jason Terry, Ariel Sellers. All these children who were supposedly under the supervision of protective services, and they just keep ending up dead. None of it doesn't make good sense at all. So, yeah, I'm out of here. Look for that article on the community tab tomorrow. I love you. Thank you guys for joining, and I'll see you next time.